So this is a secret and the key to breaking any pattern, so I'm very happy you asked this. Let's start with an example right away, and I will unpack it a little bit. The best example of this, of choosing an opposite reaction or opposite response to a shared fear, is when we look at our parents, for example, and we think, okay, they did this and this wrong, they hurt us in this way, and then we swear we will never be like them. And we pick a polar opposite approach to parenting our children. Yet when our children start growing up, especially as they become teenagers, we get surprised that we get a very similar result as our parents did. And our children blame us in the similar way that we blamed our parents. Only here we are always present with them and our parents never were. Here we are always there for them, or we cater to every need of our kid, for example, and our parents didn't even know we existed. And then we wonder, why did I produce exactly the same result while taking an opposite approach? By the way, my name is Anya. This is my book on the relationship between consciousness and reality, and how to question those deep beliefs that are responsible for our repeating patterns, how to find parts in us that belong to the old consciousness, undo them, and change the world in us and around us. And I do support my work and my free videos by selling this book. So check it out. It's available everywhere and here as well. So how do we find that shared assumption? First of all, what is an example of a shared assumption in the example that I gave with parents? It could be any lie one believes about how the world works, or who they are, or where value comes from, that is buried so deeply and ingrained in the culture of the family, the culture of consciousness, of the environment, that it never gets questioned. It always is a little bit unnatural when I come up with these different versions of what my people might believe, because once you see it for yourself, it's going to click for you, it's going to land. But I'm going to try anyway. For example, you had incredibly judgmental parents, right? They judged you really harshly, they judged themselves really harshly, and then you decide that you're not going to care what other people think. In fact, you decide that as far as your kids are concerned, or really anyone in the world, that you're never going to voice your opinion. You're never going to judge them or tell them that their hair is not looking right, or that this outfit is not acceptable. You're going to create an environment where there's no judgment at all. To create a loving world, a loving family, is not a bad aspiration, but we haven't questioned an assumption, a shared assumption that we have with people we do not like and resent, i.e., our parents. What is that assumption? In order for you to uncover what the shared assumption in your conflict situation is, I write about this right here. I do identity work. It's a very direct, pointed process to cut through all of the defenses and all of the lies to expose what it is that I have bought into. In fact, it's a beautiful thing, because even if you're doing this work in connection with your enemies, right, with people who are on the opposite side of some pretty big survival issues for you, when you see inside of you that you are carrying some untruth, or you're blind to something that they might be blind to too, and you will see how difficult it is to see through that conditioning, you're not going to be in love with your enemies, but they will stop being your enemies. They might still think you are theirs, but you will have this compassion, not compassion to play into their game, not compassion to let them win, but compassion for everyone who is blind. And then you will rise above and you will lead change from that new place. So back to judgmental parents. The identity work will expose statements inside of you in connection to your family, to judgment, to your parents, that are personal to you. They might sound like some statements that I talk about or that I give examples in the book, but it has to be something that lands for each individual person. So for example, if I simplify it, if I do this work on judgment, and my own relationship to judgment, I might still carry inside of me a kind of an inner rule, inner truth, that the thoughts of other people have power over me. So the reason I don't offer my thoughts to my children, as opposed to my family offering them without my consent, is because I believe that these thoughts have power. And the core belief of the family is that you, as an individual, do not have the power to refuse judgment. So if you truly want to shift and create something different, it's really imperative that we examine these untruths and these assumptions, because not only do they interfere on the level that I've described, but they are also responsible for our world, our reality forming around us to support these assumptions. Our realities are like a feedback loop. Once our I am has merged with some ideas and untruths, we can't see outside of it. And we always see the proof of ourselves, like we have to be real in the world we live in. So this is how you change your world, your patterns, is by examining the unconsciousness, finding it inside of you, looking at it, releasing it, and then leading change from that place. Check out my book. It's right here. It's called I Am, a Guide to Transforming Reality and Creating the Life You Want. And the paper copies right now on Amazon, they're sold out, but here they are available. And thank you for a beautiful question.